Hey guys, welcome back to the Buzz Weaver channel. And if you have been a member here, a subscriber here on YouTube, or even on my alt tech sites, you know that we have talked about this for over 5 years. And that is that Americans mostly, and other parts of the world sometimes, but Americans mostly don't always appreciate the value of what we have here in the United States until it's taken away from them. And we have an example here of Brittney Griner, of course, as you know, the WNBA basketball player who was arrested there in Russia. And of course, she was there jailed and fortunately for her was traded for the most notorious arms dealer in the world. But nonetheless, she is now standing for the anthem. And it's important and significant here as I illustrate this quite often to you guys and express to all Americans, but more specifically those on the left, progressives, Democrats, that people have to understand here in America that other countries, other cultures do not think the way we do. They do not share our values. And these countries and leaders of other countries do the same. And the thing that was remarkable that Democrats and progressives and others, Trump detractors, disliked about Trump and mocked him and said he was oafish and a bull in the China cabinet was the way he did relate to other cultures in the world. And they thought it was oafish and absurd and ridiculous that Trump was actually relating to these leaders and relating to these countries in a way that they understand from their cultural perspective. But here in the United States, many Americans just don't understand and appreciate the value of what we have in our country. And I'm paraphrasing what Ronald Reagan said. The United States is the last bastion. It is the last place on earth that has the freedoms, liberties that we have, individual liberties, individual rights, liberties, and those pursuits. I mean, right now, we have these protests that we've been covering for 5 years. These individuals have had the luxury of espousing socialism, have had the luxury of espousing communism, their ideologies, their philosophies, their worldviews, completely protected here in the United States, even among their own Democrat leadership. And the thing is, it took Brittney to experience what actually happens in a communist country, particularly one who's now at war, that for her to genuinely appreciate what it's like to live here in the United States. Now, I've had the opportunity to travel the world, parts of the world, and I can tell you there is a significant difference between those countries and our country. And some people here just don't get it because they're so westernized, which is fine. But people need to appreciate and value what we have here in this country. So now let's get into the article. We start things off from the conservative brief. WNBA's Brittney Griner addresses national anthem controversy after being jailed in Russia. WNBA star Brittney Griner on Friday addressed a previous controversy involving her kneeling during the playing of the national anthem before ball games. Griner, a center for the Phoenix Mercury, said she stood for the playing of the anthem for the first game back after she was incarcerated in Russia for months last year. Her first official game since being released by Russian authorities in December was Friday. Throughout the 2020 season, in the aftermath of George Floyd's death in Minneapolis at the hands of the police, she and most other WNBA players, as well as pros in other sports, knelt during the anthem as a sign of protest. You have the right to protest, the right to be able to speak out, question, challenge, and do all these things, she told ESPN after the game when she was asked about why she stood instead. Oh my goodness. What I went through and everything, it just means a little bit more to me now. So I want to be able to stand. I was literally in a cage in Russia and could not stand the way I wanted to, she added. Just being able to hear my national anthem, see my flag, I definitely want to stand. Now everybody that will not stand or not come out, I totally support them 100%. That's all right. As an American in this great country, she continued. Yes, she didn't want to lose total face and express the complete conversion of reality that many of these people on the left do not understand. She went through a major conversion, physically, mentally, and psychologically experiencing what it's like not to be in our country, protected by our laws, protected by our Constitution, and protected by the liberties and individual rights that we have here in the United States. I'm grateful to teach
I'm grateful to teach each person who advocated for me, especially my wife, her family, and all these other people. So she's going on waxing my Russian legal team, and then, of course, she goes on to thank her legal team, President Biden. Of course, she wants to save as much face as possible, but I can guarantee you, ladies and gentlemen, through her experience and what she experienced, she has a new perspective, a new vantage point to understand, and she needs to share this message to many people. But of course, she still has to stay within her group, within her social and group think. But it's significant here to illustrate that she had to learn the hard way. And it's always important. I mean, think about it. From childhood to early adult, we are constantly being taught in school and in college. We're learning things. And we often don't want to listen to people who know or people that have experience, but some people do. And I can tell you, as someone who has had the opportunity to travel to other countries, there is no other place in the world like the United States. We may not have a perfect system. We may not have a perfect government. We may not have a perfect legal system. Things may not always be perfect. But as I said earlier in the beginning, as Ronald Reagan said, paraphrasing, there is no other place on earth. When you lose freedom in the United States, it's over. I want to thank you guys for your continued support, those on New Tech as well as here on YouTube. That would be the channel icon appearing right there on the screen. You can click on that to subscribe, as well as to select notifications. That when you know when there's content here on the channel. And I'll see all you guys in the next video.